Welcome everyone, my name is Fist Truck. So recently I put up a video called How to Sword and Shield in Elden Ring. And holy shit, that video blew up in a way that I would have never predicted, though to be fair it's kind of happened once before, but even more so with this one. Nonetheless, in that video I think I said something like, now I feel like this goes without saying, however for those in the back that might say something like, hey, shouldn't you do this? Or couldn't you do this? Or why didn't you do that? Well, my answer to that is, I did not. However, you can. So naturally in the comments, there's still people who are like, hey, you should have done this, or why didn't you do that? Well, my answer to that is, I did not. However, you can. More importantly, there were questions. This has always kind of been a thing on a lot of the build videos I've done, where people will ask, hey, can I do this thing to a build? Or one comment that I saw in the Sword and Shield video was, I don't know how to make a build. That was somewhere in their comment. There was a lot there, but that was the main thing that I took away from that comment. Or I think there's a lot of people who probably feel that way and just don't say it. So I kind of just wanted to make this video to clear the air on that and hopefully bring down some barriers that people feel that there are when it comes to making a build. It's not complicated, it's not hard, it's fun, and it's where I get all my playtime in these games from. So I hope by watching this video, you get a kick out of it. You go, hey, I already knew this shit, this was useless, or it helps you enjoy the game in a way that I find is very enjoyable. So once again, my name is Fist Truck, and this is how to make a build in Elden Ring, which always starts with hitting the subscribe button first. And also, streams every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Last week we talked about ludonarrative dissonance and Ghost of Tsushima, and I don't know what we're gonna talk about this week. Also, one more thing. First, I'm gonna start this video with a bunch of philosophical hippy-dippy bullshit. What is a build? Well, a build is whatever collection of shit that you use to play through the game. It really doesn't have to make sense, and to be fair, it doesn't have to work or be good if we're trying to be consistent, I guess. Though, if we're trying to be realistic, chances are you probably want a build that works and hopefully also doesn't suck. More importantly, and I feel like this is a spot where a lot of people see that there's a barrier of entry, is that the build doesn't have to be hyper optimized, or really it doesn't even have to be optimized at all. Now I'm going to show you the bell curve of optimization. Our x-axis represents optimization, and then our y-axis represents the amount of people who do it. So you see on the extreme left, we have people who are so unoptimized, they'll do shit like play with a Guitar Hero controller, or purposefully put points into the wrong stats. Not that I've seen that, but I imagine that they're out there somewhere hiding in secret. And by this, I mean it's intentionally playing the game in a way that drastically hampers your efficiency. Intentionally is the important part of that. If you're choosing to play that way, cool, but that shit's crazy. Now on the right, we have hyper optimization. We have speedrunners, PvP min-maxers, and essentially this being whenever you optimize to a point where every last point and detail matters. It cannot be done any other way, and that's usually where the argument begins. And then we have the middle, which is everyone else, and that's really who I'm speaking to today. Keep in mind that both the left and the right are cool, and there's a reason why people do both, but for the majority, we're probably just looking to throw something together and chill. Probably looking for it to be optimized, but not at the cost of fun, or making it homogeneous. What does he mean by homogeneous? See every person that will tell you to add frost or bleed to your build. I'm not taking that one back. So, with that out of the way, if for some reason you are watching this video and haven't played through the game already, the build you should make for your first playthrough is whatever naturally comes to you as you play through the game. I know, cop out, but trust me, it'll work. No matter what you put together, it will work. The game is designed in a way that you can beat it by doing practically fucking anything. If you don't believe me, look at all the other stupid ass builds I did on this channel. It can be done. Now, for the sake of overcomplicating a simple process, I'm going to show you how I do it. It's nothing too crazy, but these things really help me get it done quickly, especially considering that I'm doing them for videos. So, you know, schedule, all that kind of stuff. Step 1, start with a theme or weapon. Unsure what I mean by that? Just look at the other videos on this channel. An example of a theme would be my How to Banjo-Kazooie and Elden Ring video. It's really stupid. Is it a good build? No. Is it efficient? No. But it's a build. and it's really there for the memes and the lulz. And we're looking at a build centered around a weapon. My now second most popular video is about the spike cestus. You go check that one if you're interested in that. And lastly, the build I'll be using as an example for the rest of this video is my now most popular video, the knight one. Step 2, use the goddamn wiki. Theory craft like a motherfucker. The wiki is there and it's incredibly helpful and saves a shit ton of time instead of you just playing through the game and kind of farting around with stuff. Though that is a very natural way of doing things and that's great. However, I'm an adult and I don't have all the time in the world, even though I kind of do. But still, time is of the essence. Look at all the stuff that you think will be useful for the build. So if your build is based on a theme and not necessarily a weapon, then think of what specific weapon you're going to use. Armor, talismans, Ash of Wars, consumables, blah, 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 blah. Now, if I use a knight build as an example, it started with sword in hand, shield, regular ass armor. It really wasn't hard to get to that point, but the part you didn't see in the video was that it also had a mace and a rapier, because I wanted to have a weapon for each situation, much like the way you would have to do it in Demon Souls. I also spent more time than I should have just trying to think of which Ash of War that I was going to use that was plain but also got the job done. And that is where the next step helped immensely with these things. Step 3, put it into practice. If you already got the stuff in the game, try it out. If you don't, then I guess you got to play the game. That's really the whole step. Maybe go fight a couple of bosses that you happen to skip or go fuck around with some enemies. Just try it out. Step 4, trim the fat. If you're like me, you probably added a bunch of shit to the build that either detracts from the theme or purpose, or things that in practice you straight up just don't use. So remember how I said I added the mace and the rapier to the knight build? Guess what? I didn't fucking use them, so I threw them in the trash. Also, I felt like it kind of just detracted from a boy and his sword. Also, instead of getting torn up over whatever Ashes of War that I was gonna use, I just realized that Square Off was really good. It did the job and it was perfectly fine, so I just stuck with that one. It turns out that by playing the game, you can figure out a lot of shit really quickly. I know, shocking. So the point of trimming the fat is really to get it to a point to where it's most practical. Unless the point is the opposite, like the Banjo-Kazooie video. I never use consumables in my builds, but he had fire pots because they're like the grenade eggs from Banjo-Tooie. Step 5, the most annoying one, and the one that's probably gonna cause the most trouble. Stats. Now, obviously, we need enough stats to be able to use the weapons or do the casting, whatever it is that you want. I'm going into this assuming that we're checking those boxes. If you haven't checked those boxes, I cannot help you. Now, first, start with distributing the stats in the way that you prefer. Now, this is 100% based on how comfortable you are with the game, your playstyle. Essentially, you're going to be choosing whether or not you prioritize health and stamina or damage. Now, regarding damage, for weapons, often the weapon kind of tells you what infusion it wants if you're trying to get the most out of raw damage. Now, this is also assuming that you're going to be putting this build into practice on a fresh playthrough for the next couple things I'm about to say. Now, with that out of the way, quality infusions will always be the strongest in the long run. Heavy or keen will always be the best for the majority of the game, assuming that you're starting on a fresh playthrough and prioritizing either strength or dex. And for any kind of casting, just go all in with one of them instead of trying to split your focus. That tends to not work out as well, unless that's the point of your build. Respeccing with Renala fucks. This fucks so goddamn hard. This is how I did the testing for the knight build to see which infusion was better. Surprise, it was heavy up until the end of the game where I got just a little bit more out of quality, but the difference was negligible and I really don't like getting caught up in those kinds of things. Nonetheless, being able to respec at any time makes this process way more painless than it used to be. In Dark Souls 1, you would respec by starting a new character. In Dark Souls 2, you would respec by getting these items that were incredibly rare than speaking to these bitches in a hut. In Dark Souls 3, you would get these tongues, and then you can only do it up to 5 times per game, which really isn't that bad when you think about it, because like, hey, who needs to respec that many times? But when you're trying to experiment with shit, God, it was so annoying. And lastly, just check the wiki again. It has all the soft caps for each stat, just in case you're unsure about them. Step 6, have fun. Or don't. Realize that the build sucks to start over again, or tweak it to be something that is fun. At this point, we're pretty much done. Just go play the game. That's it. Alright, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I know this one was kind of weird, but I felt like it needed to be made. Maybe it didn't. Who knows? Whatever. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, or don't, do you? And until next time, don't forget to wipe before you shit.